At some point, surviving stopped being temporary. There was no moment where you decided it. It just became the plan, quietly. You stopped asking what you wanted. You started asking what you could handle. You stopped planning for a life. You started managing the one in front of you. And from the outside, it worked. You became reliable, capable, the one who gets through things. But somewhere in all of that, somewhere between holding it together and getting through it, something went quiet. Not broken, not gone, just quiet. And then one day, in a completely ordinary moment, someone asks you something simple. What do you actually want? And there is a pause, longer than it should be, because you do not know. Not because nothing is good, not because you are ungrateful, but because you have been so focused on surviving your life that you never learned how to want things from it. Today we go inside that, the survival identity, what it gave you, what it cost you, and what is still underneath it, waiting. Welcome to Polished Emergency, Level 1. When surviving never turned off. Survival mode was never meant to be a lifestyle. It is a biological response, a temporary setting. Your nervous system activates it when something feels threatening, emotionally, financially, relationally, physically. And when it turns on, everything narrows. Less dreaming, less wandering, less feeling. Just handle it, fix it, get through it, and it works. That is why it is dangerous, because it works so well that you keep using it long after the original reason is gone. Survival mode has one flaw. It does not turn itself off. It waits for a signal, and if your life never gave you that signal, or if stillness felt unsafe, or if you just never learned how to stop, then it stays on, quietly, like an engine running in the background of your life. And after a while, you stop noticing it. You start calling it discipline, responsibility, strength. But it is not who you are. It is a setting. One you never exited. Level 2, how it became you. For most people, there was not a single moment. It was not dramatic, it was gradual, a slow tightening, a quiet recalibration. Maybe things were unstable growing up, so your body stopped expecting ease. Maybe love felt conditional, so you learned to manage yourself before anyone could reject you. Maybe something happened, and your brain decided, we are not taking chances anymore. Or maybe nothing happened directly to you. Maybe you just watched people survive instead of living, and your system learned from observation. Psychologists call this chronic stress adaptation. The nervous system stops treating stress as an interruption and starts treating it as normal. The technical term is allostatic load, the cost of constantly adjusting. In simpler terms, you got so used to bracing that you forgot what relaxed even feels like. And the version of you that came out of that, efficient, controlled, always ready, feels real. But it is incomplete. It is you edited for survival. Level 3. What it feels like from inside. From the outside, survival mode looks like competence. From the inside, it feels like this. You cannot fully enjoy anything. Even in a good moment, your mind moves ahead. What is next? What needs fixing? What is coming? You feel uncomfortable when things are calm. Not just mentally, physically. Like something is about to go wrong. You do not really know what you enjoy anymore, because enjoyment requires presence, and you have been operating in anticipation. And maybe the hardest one to admit, you do not know what you want. Not clearly. Not quickly, because for so long, your wants were not the priority. That is not indecision, that is adaptation. You are excellent in emergencies and strangely lost in ordinary life. Give you a problem and you solve it. Give you a free day and you fill it, because emptiness feels unsafe. That is the quiet devastation of survival mode, not collapse, disconnection. Level 4. The identity trap. At some point, survival stopped being just a response to circumstances and became an identity. You became the person who always manages, the person who figures things out, the person who doesn't need much and rarely falls apart in front of other people. And the world reinforced it. People relied on you, praised you for it, told you how strong you were, how dependable, how calm under pressure. But eventually those compliments became a kind of cage, because now there was a role to maintain. Resting started to feel irresponsible. Struggling openly felt dangerous. Admitting you didn't know who you were outside of survival felt almost impossible. Psychologists describe this as identity foreclosure, when someone adopts a role early, often under pressure, and never gets the chance to develop beyond it. The version of you that helped you survive slowly became the only version you knew how to be. And after enough time, even imagining another way of living can feel disorienting, because survival identities are efficient. They keep life moving, They keep things functioning. But eventually, underneath all the competence and endurance, a quieter question begins to surface. If I am not the person who survives everything, then who am I? And that question feels frightening for a reason. Because it is much easier to continue surviving than to learn, after all this time, how to actually live. Level 5. The hidden cost. Survival mode does not just protect you, it takes things quietly. It changes your relationship with rest, until rest feels like something you have to earn, or something that makes you anxious when you finally get it. It changes your relationship with pleasure too. Enjoyment starts to feel temporary, or undeserved, or even dangerous. You stop relaxing fully into good moments because some part of you is already preparing for what comes next. Over time, it takes your preferences. You become very good at knowing what works, what is logical, what keeps things stable, what avoids problems. But what you want becomes harder to hear. Not because it disappeared, but because survival trained you to treat your own wants as non-essential information. And eventually it takes your sense of future. Survival mode is always focused on the immediate moment, the next task, the next bill, the next thing that needs handling. But long-term dreaming, the kind of open, undefended imagining of a life that might actually feel good, requires safety that survival mode never fully allows. And after enough time living like that, something deeper fades. The feeling that life is something you get to live in, not just survive through. That is the real cost, not exhaustion, disconnection. Level 6. What didn't disappear. Here is the part people misunderstand. Survival mode does not erase you. It suppresses you. Everything it quieted, your curiosity, your preferences, your ability to feel fully connected to things, is still there underneath all of this, waiting. Neuroscience shows this clearly. The parts of your brain responsible for joy, connection, curiosity, and desire do not disappear under chronic stress. They simply go offline temporarily, while your system prioritizes safety instead. And when safety slowly returns, those systems come back online the same way they shut down. Gradually. Usually it starts with very small things. A moment of stillness that feels okay instead of threatening. A conversation where you realize you are fully present instead of monitoring everything around you. A day where nothing needs fixing. A meal you actually taste instead of rushing through. A song that makes you stop for a second without knowing why. Those moments matter more than they seem to. That is not random. That is your system remembering something it has not used in a very long time. And for many people, recognizing that shift can actually feel frightening at first, because surviving stopped feeling temporary a long time ago. It started feeling like identity, like personality, like the only version of yourself you know how to be. But recognizing the pattern is not failure, it is awareness. And awareness is where change begins. Level 7, the way back. This is not about becoming a different person. It is about meeting the one underneath everything survival forced you to become. And that process usually looks much smaller and quieter than people expect. It starts with asking smaller questions. Not, what do I want from life? Because for many people, the nervous system shuts down when the question is too large. Instead, what felt good today? What made me feel calm? What did I enjoy before everything became about managing and enduring and getting through things? You start small enough that your system does not panic. Then there is learning how to receive. Letting someone help you without immediately trying to repay them. Letting kindness land without turning it into a transaction. Sitting with the discomfort instead of rushing to neutralize it. Because that discomfort is not weakness. It is the old survival system trying to protect the role it built for you. And maybe the hardest part is creating time with no purpose attached to it. No productivity, no optimization, no outcome, just space. At first it will feel wrong, maybe even unsafe, but that is exactly why it matters. Your system has to slowly learn that nothing bad happens when you stop moving for a moment. That is how survival mode ends. Not through force, through proof. And for many people, this is not really recovery. Recovery suggests you are returning to someone you used to be. But if survival mode started early enough, there may not be a before version of you to return to at all. What you are doing instead is introduction. You are meeting yourself for possibly the first time. And that is slower, stranger, and more disorienting than most people expect because there is no map for it. You are not retracing steps, you are making them. You are not behind. You are not the things you survived, and you are not the identity that formed around the surviving. Underneath all of that is still a person capable of wanting things, enjoying things, feeling connected to things. A person who did not disappear, only adapted. And that introduction back to yourself is usually very quiet. It does not look impressive from the outside. It is slow, uneven, sometimes uncomfortable, but the fact that you are even recognizing these patterns means the process has already started. You are not broken, you are adapted. There is a difference. You just have not been introduced to yourself yet. Before you go, I want to ask you something directly. When was the last time you did something with no survival purpose attached to it? Not productive, not useful, not for anyone else, just because you wanted to. If you remember, tell us what it was in the comments. Someone reading probably needs to hear that it is possible. And if you genuinely cannot remember, just say that too. You will not be alone. Sometimes naming the pattern is the first step toward changing it. And if this video found you at the right moment, save it. Come back to it later. Not for motivation, for recognition. You are the person this was made for. That is how the underground grows.